Well, the disruption in world supply chains and markets continues, and none greater than in energy. Here to discuss the impact of the Russian invasion and other factors on Canadian oil and gas is Dr. Tammy Nemeth. She is the host of the Nemeth Report podcast, and welcome back to the program.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I guess the first thing is I'd love to get your assessment for our audience of where things stand, and are we in for a long-term disruption on world oil and gas markets?
I think there's a massive restructuring going on, not just in the world oil markets, but in how we operate our financial institutions and the financial transactions that go along with oil and gas and energy. For example, since Russia's been made a bit of a pariah, and there's all these calls to boycott them and whatnot, they've turned to other venues to sell their oil and gas. In particular, there was a massive announcement in February at the Olympics of a $177 billion deal with China to divert oil and gas resources to their markets. And in so doing, they forewent the use of the US dollar, which is significant. If the US dollar was considered the petrodollar and helped smooth the operation of financial markets, they're now not using it anymore for transactions with respect to Russian oil and gas. Saudi Arabia is now also considering using maybe the euro or the yuan in their deals. And this has profound implications for not just the energy markets, but for global markets in general.
So yes, this seems to be a trend. I know Putin has for years railed against the US dollar as the reserve currency, and China has been busy trying to create an alternative to that. So you see this as another step along that way?
Absolutely. And when Joe Biden the other day made his comments about the liberal order, kind of falling apart, and now there's going to be a new world order. Well, this coincides with what the IMF and the World Bank has been saying for the past few years, that we need a new Bretton Woods. And Bretton Woods was the financial structure that took place at the end of World War II that set up the IMF and the World Bank and utilized the American dollar as the global currency. So there's been discussions and conversations going on about a new Bretton Woods. It's unclear exactly what that's going to mean, but it seems that Eurasia is already embarking upon their own way, and how the United States and the rest of the free world, as they call themselves, will fit into this is unclear.
Now, hitherto, Russia accounted for 10% of oil and gas production in the world. And so their exit from, as you called them, a pariah state, if Russia is indeed a pariah state, if countries start to exit or do not renew their contracts for Russian oil and gas, is that going to have a profound effect on world markets too?
Well, I don't know. I think the markets will just be displaced. So right now, there's been deals between Russia and Iran, Russia and Iraq, Russia and Turkey, Russia and China, the one I mentioned earlier. But they're also negotiating with India and offering them a price discount if India would take their oil and gas. So the oil and gas will still be there on the market. It just won't be purchased by Western countries. So I'm not exactly sure how that will pan out in the longer term, but I don't think that the Russian oil and gas will be completely removed from the market. It's just going to go to other sources and not Europe. And that's significant for European policy.
Yes, it is, and definitely want to talk a little bit about that as they exit their Russian contracts. They've got, I guess, two ways to go. They can ramp up oil and gas purchases elsewhere, or they can, I guess, ramp up their transition to non-carbon energy sources. What do you see happening?
So what I see is a sort of repeat of the 1970s. I'm a historian by training, and I researched a lot about the 1970s and 80s energy crises and how the world got out of them. And what I see, which is a little bit problematic, is that you have the IEA and their 10-point oil reduction plan and the EU's Repower EU policies, both of which dust off the 1970s policies that didn't work, that weren't so good.